Gaming isn't fun anymore. I hope you're all ready for another dumb elf yap, right? Yes? Yes, you are. Okay, here we go. There's like an earworm right now I feel infecting the internet, expressing that gaming doesn't feel the same. And naturally, yeah, I would say so. Like, as we get older, it actually makes sense. That nothing stays the same. In fact, as we go about life and have our experiences for the first time, it seems time feels slow, allowing your young, dumb ass, like mushy brain to like have all these new experiences and digest new information. But as we go about life, information feels older, and experiences that used to feel new and interesting begin to feel kind of like boring to us. As I got older, things felt all too common as I kind of learned to like what to expect from like the gaming world, and it was just kind of difficult to stay within that observatory state. So it's not really difficult to understand why gaming doesn't feel the same for many of us as it like used to feel. What if I told you that this perspective of everything being interesting and unique, you can actually still tune into this state? And what if I told you like 90% of this had to do more with like witnessing and being present as like an active player? Yeah, literally, that's it. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. I'll game with you all later. Goodbye. Okay, here, let me like elaborate. It's important that you are 100% involved in the game to ensure that your attention isn't diverged away, multitasking with, different other tasks. I guess another task at hand while you're trying to enjoy a gaming world. There's this thing where I feel like I'm not fully enjoying myself when I'm sitting there listening to like some freaking podcasts about like another game while I'm trying to do a mission, okay? I'm trying to like make my way to Sarthal. Why the hell would I need to listen to a podcast about another game that I haven't played yet? Like, shut up. I mean, I think the only thing that you can multitask with is having like a nice ambient track that you listen to. For me personally, I like to listen to progressive trance or like hard wave or something while I'm gaming. You should always assume any possibility of having an interesting or fun encounter, especially with a dynamic open world game. Helps avoid contaminating the moment with assumptions. Just watch the damn game. Playing one chapter or a quest mindfully, no multitasking, ensuring that I am fully immersed in the world. Every time a line or a scene kind of like hits my heart, I just kind of pause and I think about it. And you can kind of keep like a mental notebook, but keep note of exactly what the feeling or thought that it gave you. For me personally, notes are probably the best way. They're like gold for like future commentary videos. I just actually like write things down for things that I'm planning to put on the internet, as I find it useful to reflect on that scene in chapter or mission, how it made me think or how it made me feel. Basically using scenes or scents, dimming the light to where I can tune out the rest of the world and fixate on like whatever else is going on inside of the digital world, I find to be extremely useful. I find that when I'm focusing on many different things outside that have nothing to do with the game that I'm playing, even if I'm listening to some other like YouTube video that I already know that I enjoy, because the focus is already being taken away from the gaming world, I'm not enjoying it because I'm not really fully aware or just participating in the world that's going on around me. And I tend to enjoy things when I'm 100% there. And I think that's sort of the goal. Other than being 100% fully there, something that's really helped me is role playing. I mean, being my own little character in the game in a tiny digital world makes things feel interesting. And let me elaborate on that actually. When you're focused on a game, looking at like different activities as to-do lists, checklists, you won't really enjoy yourself. Treating a game as a chore isn't unwinding from your day. It's really just adding on like more and more like work to you, okay? That's not fun, all right? Don't do that, okay? You're freaking stupid if you do that. I remember playing Skyrim, and I'm going to be using this as an example because it's the game that I play the most of, but I remember in Skyrim doing missions for some reason. I was so annoyed. It was strange realization that like I was treating myself to my favorite game, but as if it was like a second job to me. Wondering why like gaming feels like an extension of my life, of the rest of my life. Like, it was stressful. And it's really because your brain isn't technically off like your rest of your daily task until 2 to like 4 ish hours. And I mean, so that means that when you come back home after work or school, it takes around like 2 to 4 hours to shut off, you know? So like, who would have thought? So it's very important that you set up a proper transition in between the rest of your daily tasks and your gaming unwinding life, okay? But more on role playing. In Minecraft, I would assume the role of, let's say, like a survivalist or an adventurer, rather than just a person playing Minecraft, or put up an act for myself in that role. I know a lot of people don't tend to have this like inner monologue, or at least like, as detailed or as vivid as others as me. But, personally, I'm just like naturally probably like creative, and I just sort of do this on like my own time. I always have like this inner monologue, but putting myself in a situation personally as if I was literally that character adds to the immersion. Like when you're collecting wood and like, let's say like it's raining outside, try and do it in a way that's like as if, how would you feel if you were outside, like chopping down trees, trying to collect wood in the rain, trying to look out for like mobs as well? Because they spawn when there's like not a lot of sun outside, right? Like put yourself in that situation. Or like, let's say you're traveling in an area that you're not yet discovered. So fast travel isn't an option for you. You simply have to just travel there on foot. Instead of being like, oh man, I have to do this and do that, and oh man, this sucks. Instead, you can treat it as a whimsical adventure in which you're, traveling to some far off land, some undiscovered territory. It has more to do with creating like a personal backstory of yourself, of your characters, and then building it up as you play the game. And every single moment, every single experience that you happen to have in the game kind of adds on to this character that you've made yourself. This may like sound silly to like our grown-up minds, but role-playing tends to be like a very natural thing in the situations that we have, right? I mean, when I was a kid, I assumed different roles for characters as I took part in creating like personal backstory. I mean, me and my friends used to do this all the time. There's this game called Red Crucible Firestorm that I used to play as a kid all the time. And I mean, no, it's not an RPG, but I remember having this character. He was like a traumatized army veteran who happened to get drafted into another war. And one of the things that made this character so like I guess sentimental to me is that I gave him the personality of like Flippy from like Happy Tree Friends. So like if he heard like loud noises at like certain times, or sometimes if he got upset enough, I would just indiscriminately like start knifing all of characters, including my own teammates, and friendly firing everybody, and people would get mad at me and ban me for like 2 hours. And that sucked, but it was still fun to do because I was role playing as a character that I made up. Okay, I don't care, it was still cool. I remember I would just walk around with a machete, hiding behind like barrels and like whatnot, waiting for like the perfect opportunity. As challenging as the game was, I got through the psychological grind indiscriminately, like murdering people and blowing people up with anti-armor landmines, and the game was tough, but I made do with it. Okay, role playing. That's all that matters. Just role play. If you play the game so many times over, maybe it's time you could add challenges for yourself to make it like more engaged. Adding mods or giving and enhancing certain abilities, making like other aspects of the game can easily spice up this role playing as well. Another thing for me would be like slow motion gaming or like active listening. So by far, one of the most important things of enjoying games that I'm playing, especially because I play a lot of stories-based games, is that I should have included this here first, but I didn't. Active listening may certainly apply to the way each character express themselves. Actively hearing characters, tone of voice, demeanor, and change of attitudes. I guess this is really important for grasping the weight of the situation that we're in. You just don't want to gloss over things. You actually do like want to pay attention and listen to things. I think that's really easy to do with all like the modern distractions that we have these days. When you aren't listening and focused on playing, you're set on an outcome that is continuously like fleeing, looking for like the next relief, in a constant loop of searching and grinding and, like consuming rather than watching and being involved in it. The goal with games, I guess RPGs specifically, is not to just get to the end or on top or to grind, nor is it to compete with other players if you're playing like an MMO. In fact, there isn't really a goal at all. It's to just build upon your character day by day, piece by piece, exploring and living in the moment of that game. By this, in my opinion, it's really difficult to find games that you dislike. They all seem pretty interesting. When you're playing with a serious tone in mind on a specific outcome to win, now of course, isn't always like a healthy attitude to have, like, you know, winning and feeling good about your progress. That's obviously great. Winning can mean very different things, and for many different people, progress in a game, it's not just about leveling up. So this helps your brain initiate long-term goal setting, planning that helps you enjoy the world more, being disengaged from the outcome, fully immersed in this like present moment and actively listening to your characters and listening to the world around you is a very thing that allowed for the true enjoyment to flow through experiences altogether. Kind of in the way that children seem to enjoy life more. Or like, why does it seem like, you know, dogs are far more happy? Because they're freaking stupid. No, I mean, it's because they're in a state of observation. This probably might not make any sense. I'm yapping at this point, but this brings effortless incitement to joy, I find, in the moment of my experience. In my opinion, this is like what knowing is, letting the game world approach you from its perspective rather than yours. Every moment of strolling through Whiterun, picking flowers to decorate Breeze home, or to encounter random like sleeping civilians. Don't just stop and smell the flowers. You should be doing meaningless tasks and stimulating creative feelings, okay? Make you think in the game, what am I supposed to be doing again? Oh, right, it's that. What I guess I'm trying to tell you to do is to break the game down. Spawning NPCs or like characters where they're just like not supposed to be, or leading an NPC in areas that are forbidden, that they can very well get killed, just to see some interesting shit happen. You'd be surprised what bored people can do to make a roleplay game feel like endless possibilities when they've dumped like 10,000 hours into the game. So I said a little bit about active listening, but I want to talk about like dialogue and perspective, putting myself in the perspective of characters. I guess Final Fantasy gamers know this feeling far too well, actually. Often it's difficult to understand the motives of certain characters and the actions they're taking and thought processings of from an outsider, right? But this is why dialogue is literally everything and has the potential to be truly immersing for myself in the gaming world through active listening. You should never be shallow because you'd be missing all the good stuff. And when the plot just happens, because you are so like invested in the characters and the story so far and listening to them and being so like perspectively involved, the overall experience just hits very hard, and it's very hard to miss, and it becomes more memorable. Square Enix, you know, plot twists tend to be like by far the best, especially with like Deus Ex. That was a twist I was not expecting. Okay, play Deus Ex, please play it. Shut up and play it. It also helps me enjoy role-playing games that I've never really enjoyed before, but I played it again and I've tried this and I'm like, wow, actually, this is a really good game. I like this character. I like this world. Backstories tend to be very important to me. So like to understand and to empathize with characters. I like having dialogue options to like gain perspectives, like multiple choice dialogue options. That's something that I really enjoy. I mean, speaking of backstories, is this not the reason why we play RPGs? I mean, imagine with like what life would be without like backstories for characters. This is why it's so important to create your own backstory when you're playing a game. Without doing this, I find that the games tend to be very stale and very like boring, and would you care as much for the characters? Now, like, picture an entire gaming life that is like this stale and boring, and it's all because you didn't listen to people's backstories. It's your fault that's stale and boring, not the game's fault. It's your active listening is a way to introduce characters that would otherwise feel forced or threatened, organically interwoven, if you're not paying attention like you should. Another way of spicing up the role play of the gaming games that you game. I love modding, honestly. I try not to mod too much. I'm a little bit conservative when it comes to my mod, but keeping a game fresh may also mean adding animations or taking away or adding certain color textures in general, side quests, locations, or just extensions as well. I love doing this with Skyrim, obviously. I'm Skyrim obsessed. As much as I enjoy that unmodded charm to certain games, there'll always be fun with them. I'm sure anyone can feel this way. Mass Effect, for example, is by no means an un-sci-fi looking game, but with like some mod outfits, some like outfit mods, galaxy map trackers, or added textures enhances like the sci-fi immersion. I love doing it. Skyrim being a bleak Norse-inspired medieval fantasy RPG with a diverse set of characters, locations, missions, and overall worlds. Even as it being like one of my favorite games of all time, I still appreciate a few improvements here and there to a fantastic atmosphere. Like for example, like Skyrim's diverse dragons is one of my favorites. Sometimes spawning a dragon like where it's not supposed to be, just to have a good laugh and like create circumstances that I want. Circumstances like, you know, crashing my PC. Speaking of mods, I wish I had enough room on my PC currently to download some novice mods. And there's another one called Keymoot, I think. This one, holy shit. Like, it's hard to believe this is Skyrim. Oh my gosh. Like, I'm afraid to download this one because I know I'm not going to want to leave my house. Customizing or adding features make an RPG game feel like an RPG game. A lot of the times, some of these mods and modding a game can help me feel like I'm back to like playing the game for the first time. Now, last but certainly least is that it's the wrong game. It's not the wrong game. You're just not playing it right. Now, it's entirely possible that you're just playing the wrong game. There are games that I still have in my downloaded or in like my Steam library that I've basically 100%ed. And I will admit, after reinstalling and coming back to something that was beginning to feel repetitive, like, why did I download this game again? I remember finding the same spark and the same comfort, having taken a long break from the game. And honestly, that's often like just probably what you need, just a nice long break. Taking a break from a project and coming back to it helped me kind of like notice light shining on new interesting places. Sort of like when, I mean, as a person who draws and who like does art all the time, coming back to like some sketch that I was doing and seeing like, oh, look at this era that I didn't see before, suddenly being stuck on one place. I'm no longer stuck on that place because you can only like really focus on one thing for so long until like you don't really notice flaws about the way that you're engaging with it, or the flaws that are inherent to whatever it is that you're engaging in. Since you've downloaded the game, you might have changed yourself, and that's totally fine. Taking your time when rediscovering things that works for you in this particular kind of game, perhaps another game might do better. So in short, if you're playing correctly, if you are role-playing in the game, like actually role-playing and moving in a coherent way, slow motion gaming and active listening, using dialogue in perspective, I recommend my streams would be a perfect example of this. I guess like a segue into like, go and watch my streams, but like, nah, no, really, go watch my streams, please. They're pretty peak, okay? If you're doing all these things, there's no way you cannot enjoy the gaming world. I hope any of these tips and perspectives may have helped you. However, these are just my perspectives. I would like to know what anybody else thinks, so please let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching, and other than that, I will game with you all later.